I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Welcome back to Oops the Podcast. Happy New Year, everybody. 2022. This is our 4th year in existence.
Is that right?
Our 4th year in existence. It hasn't been 4 years, but we began at the end of 2019. This is now the beginning of 2022.
Wow.
This is the beginning of our 4th year in existence.
How about that?
Pretty
That's
fucked
fun.
up. Pretty fucked up.
Isn't that fun?
Flew by.
Ah,
I want to, well, first of all, Francis, how you doing?
you know me. I'm fine.
Welcome back. Love it.
Yeah.
I want to say to everybody, I don't know if you guys have been feeling this way, but I've been having a little like new year, new me anxiety after a kind of leisurely couple weeks of holidays and all this stuff and sort of making my plan for the year. Now here the time has come to execute all that and getting back to work and all that. And that can weigh a little heavy. And I want to remind everybody, take it a step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Rome wasn't built overnight. Is that the theory?
Ease in.
Is that
Rome
the
wasn't
saying?
built in a day, I think. Is the saying. It's the same thing.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Hillary says that I fuck up idioms a lot and that
All right. Everyone knows what you meant.
Rome wasn't built overnight.
Yeah.
So, you know, any big change you're going to make in your life, you know, by trying to go overboard with it the first few days, you're not going to help yourself because nothing can get done in 3 days like that. The change you're trying to make, whether it be with your work or your body or whatever the fuck it is you're trying to do, take it easy.
I got something body update.
What's
got a
up?
body update.
Hit us.
All right. The time has come for me to start getting jacked.
Jacked Francis.
And I've
You gonna do a cycle?
decided I'm going to start taking creatine.
Wow.
I'm nervous about it though. Do
Why?
you know creatine?
Yeah. Doesn't it just like give you back knee? Isn't that the only bad? Is that even true?
No, I think that's steroids.
Oh, really? Creatine doesn't give you back knee also?
As far as I know,
Okay.
I hadn't heard that.
I've never taken it, so.
Creatine is allegedly not allegedly. It is a naturally occurring substance in the body, but we don't produce that much of it. And it seems to be the sort of consensus supplement that if you really want to build muscle, you got to take this stuff. Do you have any experience with creatine, Chris?
Yeah.
You've taken it?
Yeah, like a long time ago in high school when I played football. Isn't it just like putting water into your muscles?
So there's so much said about it, and I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's true. It just makes you it helps your muscles regenerate more quickly. It builds muscle better.
Like poor man's steroids, poor man's juice.
Yeah. And the fear I have, the thing that I've heard is that it can be tough on kidney function because it's tough for your kidneys to sort of circulate through it a lot. But that's also true of taking a lot of protein. It's hard for your kidneys to sort of, I guess, process or break down protein. And if I'm saying stuff, by the way, if there's a nutritionist out there who really knows what the hell they're talking about, this is why we say these things on Oops the Podcast. They're kind of hypothetical, self-aware. We don't know 100% of the truth. Please correct us.
Yeah, please.
Weigh in.
We'd
We'll
love to be corrected.
feature it. But apparently, if you have healthy kidneys, it shouldn't be a problem. But one way in to this creatine thing is to start with a major like ramp period.
What, so like taking a shit ton of it?
So for the first week, you take like 4 scoops a day or something.
It's powder?
Yeah. And then after that, you taper back to like 1 or 2 scoops a day.
Interesting.
But here's my issue, right? So my wedding is August 28th. I have this thought that I want to be at peak muscle for my wedding, right?
Yeah. So you think it's too early?
Well, part of me thinks it's too early because if I'm, almost 9 months away,
Yeah.
then that's like, how do I maintain? I want to be peaking. I think to me, 6 months out is what I hear. It's what you hear when you guys like Hugh Jackman get super ripped
Yeah.
to play Wolverine. He needs 6 months to get his body into that kind of shape.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So you don't need to do this, but if you did, so say Hugh Jackman is coming into this period a little like overweight for him, does he have to like lean out first before he tries to build the muscle, or can you do it
No,
interchangeably?
I think actually having fat is helpful.
Because you can transform
You
it?
can turn that into muscle.
Interesting.
And I haven't really figured out how that's going to work. I'm not going to go too overboard with diet changes because I just can't. I don't have
Do you need to? Do you just need to eat more, you think?
I think I need to eat more.
You need to drink a lot of water.
Yeah, I'm
That's
going to
what I
drink a
do
lot of water.
remember.
I'm
It's
pretty
like-
good about drinking water. I drink a lot of water. But my thought is the flip side to this too early is that I have this thought that if I start now and for some reason in like 4 or 5 months, my body is just preposterous, I want to have a few months to be able to deflate myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Bring myself back down to earth a little.
Yeah.
I want to have a little bit of a grace period where I can be like, okay, this went too far.
This is crazy.
Let's just lean out a little.
How much time do you need to do that? Like,
I don't know.
And can you do it by just doing nothing? Or do you have to like do a bunch of cardio? Like how would
Yeah, I would just start doing cardio and stop taking the creatine probably, and
Mhm.
like, lifting smaller weights but higher reps.
got it.
Just take like some 20-pound dumbbells and do a bunch of like flies with those and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah.
So
I'm
those
fascinated by
are
this.
my 2 thoughts. I'm gonna get onto the creatine, I think, and just have some fun with it. That's my thought process. I've done enough reading now where I feel like it isn't unsafe. Maybe I need to go get blood work done first though to check on
Oh.
my kidneys because I do need to get blood work done.
Interesting. Yeah, might as well. Just tell your doctor. This sounds like a very healthy situation. What you should do is hit up Jeff Bezos' HGH guy, dude.
Does he have an HGH guy?
He must. From what I've heard from a friend whose dad was a doctor who used to give it to people, he'd be like, if you can afford to do it right, it's completely safe, but
Yeah.
it'll cost you like 50 G's a month.
Yeah.
Which I have no idea if any of that's accurate, but like I have reason to believe that if Jeff Bezos, he looks like he is,
Yeah.
he's probably doing it in like the best possible way.
50 G's a month. I gotta save my 50 G's for my my permit in Nepal for when I want to climb Everest.
Are you gonna do it,
I'm getting a little warmer to it.
dude?
A little warmer to that
You want to
idea.
do that show in base camp, bro? Count me in.
Hell yeah.
I'm serious.
That
I'll
is
come.
something I want to do.
I'll come for that for sure.
Yeah.
That'll be the greatest podcast content ever created.
Yeah. Yeah.
Comedy at Everest.
That's cool.
Fun.
Yeah. The Mile High comedy show. It is a Mile High base camp for sure, right?
It's more. It's 17,000 feet, right?
I don't know. How many feet are there in a mile?
5,280.
Yeah, well, you're right. I'm thinking of like Denver's the Mile High Stadium.
My house city.
Base camp is definitely above the Denver airport.
And I know we've fact checked this before, but I think it's something like 17,000.
That sounds right.
right.
Yeah.
Dude, very cool. I love
Okay.
the idea.
All right. Fun.
Dude, I want to say real quick recap of last year. I was trying to like find a bunch of pictures to post on my story.
Yeah, you did. It was so sweet.
I went on a big, I must have posted 50 photos, and I did a carousel on my grid also. And I was like, wow, I did so much cool shit last year.
Mm.
I almost got to a point where I was like, did I do too much cool shit? Like, I don't know. I forgot about half of this.
Do I need to space it out more?
No, but like, I forgot about half of this. I'm being dead serious. Like to the point where like when you go to meet up with people and they have something really fun to tell you about that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
I have 40 of those things from last year.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I literally, I was too cool and had too much fun.
That's a good point, man.
Like-
that is a good point.
You know?
Yeah. 2021 was not as bad of a year as I thought it was.
It was awesome.
It was a solid year. 2020,
awesome.
2020 was tough, but
2020 was tough.
2021 was not so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to remind everybody that like, as difficult as things might be or whatever, like there really is always something incredible that you did every year, most likely. That's so fucking awesome. And I hope you have a chance to reflect on it and appreciate it.
What are just tell us really quickly the countries that you went to in 2021?
Yeah.
Total recap.
I visited 7 new countries in 2021. I went to the Bahamas. I went to Spain. I went to Greece. I went to Ecuador. Panama, Iraq, and Costa Rica. Thank you, Chris.
Wow.
7 countries I had not been to.
That's pretty cool, man. That's a lot of countries.
100 pod episodes, tons of comedy in different cities, hanging with friends, had a great birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
How about, I hate to be, I'm always this guy, but financially, was it a good year for you?
it was okay. Like it was fine.
Not your best.
I think I think it was my best.
Well, that's huge.
No, I know. No, it depends. Like I do this weird thing that I haven't updated yet that I need to fix where like I calculate my income on the school schedule as opposed to the actual tax year.
Why?
I don't know. Like I have this idea that like ending the year in my brain with August makes me enjoy it better.
Oh my gosh.
It's really dumb. It makes no sense.
That's a Julioism.
So I think that if you break it down by the actual tax year, it probably was still my best year financially, but I don't actually know because I made a bunch of money in the fall of 2020. So I think financially, yeah, it was a very, very good year, but it was also a much more expensive year than 2020. Like in 2020, I changed my life as far as like how much money I have saved because I didn't spend any money.
Wow.
For like 6 months, we talked about this. I didn't spend $1. I was just saving everything and like had some commercials running.
Yeah.
And, was able to save all that money. And it gave me like a cushion for the first time in my life.
Interesting.
That I do not yet take for granted because of how I was the anti-cushion for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I was like, I may never be able to save money. I was so far away from saving money that I just thought that my life was a life of not saving money.
Well, it's amazing how when you actually put your mind to it, you can actually start socking away some money if you can.
Totally. What stands out to you about your 2021?
I would say the weddings were I mean, getting engaged was obviously the highlight.
For sure.
But then I went to some really sick weddings.
How many weddings total?
I think like 5 or 6.
Okay.
Maybe more.
Feels like it was more.
It might have been more, but I don't think it was too many more. Maybe 6 or 7.
Cool.
But the wedding in Lake Como was like a once in a lifetime type thing.
Yeah.
I feel like. And then
New apartment.
That was barely into 2021.
Yeah.
The Oops live shows were super successful.
Fucking so fun.
So fun. And yeah, man, I just think, yeah, you're right. It is. I hadn't done this yet. Weirdly, I hadn't taken stock of the year.
Yeah. A packed year.
Went to Jamaica.
Yeah. Fuck
Remember
yeah,
that?
dude. Fuck yeah, dude.
I think that was in 2020.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely was.
So yeah, all in all, pretty good thing. Got a Rolex.
Yeah, great.
Got to have something,
dude. Fuck yeah.
To bring forth with you.
Big item.
Well, I got something for you, which I don't have, like, not a Rolex, but
Damn.
I wanted to tell you this. So, here it is. Okay. I have an idea for something I think would be funny.
Hit me.
You see this in movies sometimes, but you never see it in real life anymore. The guy who drops random quotes from literature or poetry into conversation.
Like without quoting the person? Or
So imagine we're talking, right?
Mhm.
Just talk to me for a second.
Oh man, it's cold out there.
Huh. The frozen wing of the crow that flutters down the back of one's soul dies quickest in winter.
That sounded very passive.
And then we just move on. Imagine if I did that. Imagine if I started doing that. If I had quotes at the ready. And by the way, they don't have to be quotes that apply to the situation. In fact, I think it's funnier
they don't
if they're so out of left field. But it's the most I guess pretentious thing. I think it's the most pretentious thing you could do.
Yeah. You have to be like twice the person you're talking to's age to do that.
Yeah, it's the most pretentious thing you could do. If you were like, man, it's cold outside, and I was like, hell freezeth over. Yeats. Auden, you know?
Yeah.
If I'm like quoting fucking, Mary Shelley, whatever, or Lord Byron, just like poets from like 16th century literature or whatever. And the fact that it would be so top of mind that I would have access to that quote, which would mean that I would have memorized it at some point in my life, and that I have a bag full of these.
Yeah.
It's just it's never gonna go well with people. Nobody's gonna like that. But I think it'd be very funny.
It's very
to
funny.
start doing it.
So it's funny because typically, like, the reason why a person typically says that is because the quote summarizes whatever you've just said to me. So,
or it applies very directly to what you've just said.
that's what this is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like you just said, oh man, like I think I'm ready to really zone in or hone in on buying a house. And I'm just like, the raven always covets the moment before the dawn.
And then I'm like, what's that from? You're like, I don't even know. Oh, what if you were just like, I just made it up? You just made that up? Why are you thinking about ravens?
That's funny. But dude, to your point, it is really funny if you're like, yeah, man, like I'm going through some trouble with my whatever. And I'm like, and then I just say a quote that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And you're like, does that pertain to what I just said? And I'm like, no, it was a separate thought. Sorry.
I think that's really funny. I think it's a really funny thing to do.
It is really funny, dude.
Yeah, I'm really going through a hard time with my wife. Waves break upon the shore as parrots squawk among the leaves. A dawn breaks yet again for the young shepherd.
And you're like,
what?
Does that have anything to do? Like, what are you?
Am I the shepherd?
You're like, no, dude. I'm telling you need a vacation, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in the wrong field. You got to get into wool. I'm going to start doing this.
Dude, you should.
Do you think I should memorize quotes though, real quotes? Or do you think I just don't even need to go to the trouble and should come up with them on my own?
I think you need to know your audience for sure.
Man, I was thinking, I've always talking about the construction workers in my neighborhood, but if I was sort of standing over, they have these railings up, because they bust into the street and start breaking the ground. And I love to watch them. And if I was sort of leaning over the railing and said, what are you guys doing? And then the guy was like, oh, we're fixing the main lines for the plumbing for a lot of the buildings, just making sure that they're set up to facilitate the big, new housing buildings that are going up. And then I was like, a man's toil is worth twice in sweat what it is in blood. And he that hath the measure of his bread upon his rest shall sleep ever the deep.
That's real. Is that a real one?
No.
That was, dude.
I can do that.
That's like, I was like, is that Joyce?
Yeah. And then he'd be like, well, why'd you tell me that? Or he'd say something. And then do you think it's funnier if I'm just like, no, I made that up. I made that up.
Yeah, I don't know how funny that is. I
what's funnier, or if it's a real quote?
You know what's funnier? If you say that and the guy just goes, yeah.
Well, I think you get a bunch of different reactions. You're going to get weird reactions.
He's just like fully agreeing with you.
Because this happens in movies.
I know.
It does happen in movies. And it occurred to me, I don't even remember what I was watching. I was watching something and this happened and I was like, I've never done that. I've never seen that done. And I would like to do that. Dude, I want to be that guy for a little bit.
If you do it with your boys, I think it'll go over really well. I think they'll all think it's really funny.
I think doing it, man, on the street with some
just random
people is fucking hilarious.
Content, dude.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, I hadn't. Was that where this started?
That was the final sort of iteration of how I see this going. But you know something?
That is so funny, dude.
I think Instagram and maybe TikTok just enacted a policy where they're kind of clamping down on videos where you feature people that don't know or don't want to be in your video.
Oh, wow.
And you don't like blur their face or have them sign a release or whatever.
How do you prove that they've signed a release? Is it just like obvious?
I don't know. I read that they are going to be more careful about this
Okay,
because
okay.
like there's so much
Pranking.
peripheral people that get featured in these things, and
So I wonder this though, like, because there's so many pranks where like the person clearly didn't sign a release form and they're just
Yeah.
putting it on Instagram anyway.
my whole alternate side parking was like he just featuring what was happening on the street.
But you weren't doing it in secret. I wonder like the tiered, because
Right.
people are like,
People film out their window, on the street, stuff that's happening below.
but dude, like think about this though, like when the joke is on a person who didn't agree to be in the video, like that shouldn't be online, and that is still.
Right.
So that
Whole
that has to be
influencers in the wild
frontier.
page.
Right, that too.
Is that. Yeah.
You're kind of like making fun of people. But dude, I think that's really, really funny. Like you were like, hey, what's up? What's your name? And then you ask them a question and then you just reply in a quote.
What's in a name?
And watch their.
A rose by any other word would smell just as sweet.
And then you just look at them and they're like, yeah.
All right, we're gonna give it a shot.
Well, dude, you reminded me of something when you're like, people don't do that. Have you seen the show True Story yet?
No.
It's
Oh, it's the Kevin Hart thing?
yeah, it's great.
Is it a show?
Yeah, it's like a miniseries.
Oh.
It's not that long. It's really exciting, fun, old fashioned, suspenseful TV.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a good time.
Wesley Snipes, right?
Wesley Snipes.
Is it loosely based on Kevin Hart's
no,
real life?
No.
Isn't he like a famous comedian? in
Yeah,
it?
but it sort of ends at that.
Okay.
But I mean, I was blown away by him. I thought he was great. I thought it was really fun.
Have I told you that I've met Kevin Hart?
I don't know.
When he came into Barstool,
Oh no, I didn't.
and
know
he came in with his whole
his squad.
team, who are they are their own thing. They're his warm up act, but they travel with him. I think they're called the Plastic Cup Boys, and they headline comedy clubs too by themselves.
I know.
without
Yeah,
him.
I've heard of them. I didn't realize they opened for him.
But they opened for him in arenas and stuff.
Cool.
And I think there was a little documentary on Netflix that he did, like a 6-part series that I actually watched and was solid. But Kevin Hart, and I know a lot of people have said this, is the most impressive professional person I've ever met.
Yeah, he does certainly comes off that
He
way.
is never not nice and open and charming and willing to give a joke, take a joke to anybody.
Yeah, he seems like he has good leadership qualities.
That guy was built for success
Yeah.
and is so committed to it 100% of the time.
And like really is open about talking about sort of positively like using rejection and like
Yeah.
not getting down on yourself and
Mhm.
sticking with it and all that stuff. He's inspiring for sure.
Yeah.
But dude, in this show, and this is a thing that I didn't realize I've taken issue with in almost every show that I watch. But like the amount of times that the core characters will like start bickering is very unrealistic. Like I'm sitting with both of you. We never bicker. Like there's never be a time where I'd be like, Chris, you're really fucking pissing me off. I don't do that. And like in every show that happens. And then it's just fine afterwards. She's like, all right, take it easy, God. And he's like, and then it's, I just don't get it. Like that doesn't happen in my
But
life.
it does happen sometimes.
I don't know.
It's just that we choose not to spend time with people that we do that
So
with.
others are doing that.
Oh yeah, man. There are people that bicker.
Maybe it's
And
like
bicker
maybe
with
it's
coworkers.
a good way to be.
Relationships. Oh, I don't think so.
No,
No.
it just feels like sometimes it feels like there is value to sort of like addressing things sometimes rather than not. Like, I don't know. Like sometimes I know the friends of mine who tend to fight with people tend to have really, really, really close relationships too.
Yeah, but then some people, they sort of paint over meanness under the banner of honesty, and it's a total
yeah.
cop out.
I agree with
You're
that.
not just because you're telling the truth doesn't make it noble. Not everything needs to be said or shared.
Which reminds me, I asked you about this and you didn't tell me, but I still need to ask you about who you were talking about that one time. We'll talk about it after the episode. Who was being rude to your friend?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I gotta know.
Yeah.
It was eating me alive, dude.
Yeah.
Um,
For the record, the next time I saw that person, they were so different and so nice.
that's so
they just
comedy.
had an off night.
That's
I think.
so comedy and it's so annoying. Like you have a shitty encounter with a person and then you think you don't like them for 6 months, and then you run into them and you have like the best time, and you're like, why'd I spend all this time thinking about this person?
Yeah, but also shame on me for writing them off from one evening.
But maybe shame on them for like that existence.
You need to give people more than one bad evening
I agree.
to make a complete summary judgment of who they are.
I agree, but then I'm also like, I don't really have those. So like, why does everybody else get to, but I don't? Like that annoys me. It's like I have to continue sort of like checking my shit at the door, and like even if I'm having a terrible day, being nice to you still, but yet you're allowed to be a dick to me and I'm supposed to forgive you. Like that frustrates me a little bit.
Mhm.
The idea of that. I agree with what you're saying. But then I'm like, should I just like be more of a dick? Like, will I be rewarded? I don't know.
No, I think ultimately you limit your options more when you're not nice.
I agree.
Professionally, relationship wise.
Catches up to you.
Well, it's just you have to be so much better. You have to be better at what you do to overcome the fact that you're not nice.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Dude, so I've been like the past couple of weeks, I've gotten really into like the NFT world.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I actually asked Francis about this. Francis will has like these really good nuggets where he'll be like, dude, you should buy this. And like I think my rule in general is if somebody comes up to me adamantly about something like that, I'll just do it. Like that's sort of my model. You need to buy this. Okay, I'll just buy it. And then like, whatever. If it's a person I think is like reasonable and like semi.
No, that's the key, is that the person who's telling you, you have to be a judge of that person.
Fine. Okay.
And if they're really smart, then yes. But then if they're not.
So I don't even think the intelligence matters to me necessarily. It
should, Julia.
I don't know that it should. I don't think it's the intelligence. It's the knowledge. It's like, have you spent time learning about this thing? Is that obvious to me that you have? If it is, you don't have to be a genius.
Well, what you just said to me is the same thing I'm saying.
Okay, no. Okay.
Have you spent time learning about this? Okay. That's knowledge.
But that's not smart, though. But sorry, I misunderstood what you meant. Like, just being smart doesn't mean that you're involved.
I get what you mean. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's
semantics.
Yeah.
Semantics. But anyway, so yeah, if somebody comes up to me and they're like, you should buy this, and I like feel that they're involved, or I feel that maybe they know, I don't even look into it anymore. I buy it. So, but with the NFT thing,
that seems really risky.
Maybe it seems reckless, but like,
what do you do? How much are you spending on these things? Do you have a limit?
Sort of. I'm doing well at the moment, but that's obviously fragile.
Oh,
I'm doing very well at the moment. but okay, so did some like reasonable research with a little bit of hunch-age involved as well, and whatever. But I've been buying some metaverse land.
What is that?
So like the metaverse is like this digital universe, like on the blockchain.
Isn't that like, Facebook?
I don't even know.
I thought the metaverse, Facebook is now Meta, and the metaverse is like the universe that's created by Facebook.
Sounds right. I don't know.
Oh man,
I know.
Listen to us talking, Julio. This should be a red flag.
I don't think so. So
the lack of awareness that we have should tell us we don't know what we're talking about.
You may be right, but whatever. So like it seems like it's a thing. If I'm wrong, that's fine. I'm serious. I'm willing to lose the money.
I'm investing in something that seems like it's a thing.
Yeah, correct. I'm willing to lose the money to take the risk. So whatever. I've started to learn about a little bit more of this shit, and things are going well thus far. It's beginner's luck perhaps.
How much money did you put into Metaverse?
I don't feel comfortable saying on the pod, but I'll tell you after. A lot.
More than 10% of sort of what you make?
It's hard to say. It's hard to fully calculate that. Probably.
Okay, all right.
Probably. I think you would consider this to be high, shooting from the hip.
My advice to anyone, not that anyone asked and not that you asked, is you can play with 10% of your income.
Yeah.
And this is play.
Yeah.
You're putting it on a number on a roulette table.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So fair, fine. Say it's play, say it's not play, whatever it is, it's probably a little bit more than that, but maybe not much more. Just say that.
Okay.
And not of what I make, let's call it of what I have.
Okay.
What I have to invest. Okay. It was invested in something else before, and it has now moved into
Okay, so this is kind of your play money.
Yes. And that play money has grown significantly. So therefore, while this money is a lot of it is money that has been earned.
Have you paid your taxes on it? On the growth?
Working through all that.
Okay.
There are transfers where you don't need to necessarily do it. Others that you do, playing with it and figuring it out.
Okay.
But I'm well aware of that, and I have been dealing with that throughout.
Okay.
Anyway, I've been buying a bunch of this shit. My dad now is like, dude, I want to do it too.
Oh boy.
Can you help me? I'm like, sure. So it's the line is starting to become blurred between what is him taking me on as this full service investment professional because he literally doesn't know how to do anything, and just a son helping out his old man.
Uh-huh.
And I'm struggling a little with it because he's getting to the point where I'll be explaining to him, and he's like, no, just tell me what to buy and I'll buy it. And I'm like, that's like not how this works, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to hire people to do that. Like, I guess buy this, but like, he's calling me a bunch. And again, I'm happy to help him, and I'm walking him through the steps, which, for parents, like with crypto stuff, it's a little risky. Like, you can send shit to the wrong place and it's gone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that to happen to him. I don't want him to get a phishing scam, or like, there are things that he's more susceptible that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm walking, and it's an involved process to buy these NFTs. You need to transfer Ethereum from here to there, and then you need to use it and link your wallet and blah, 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 blah. So I'm trying to help him. And I was like, also, this is very risky. He's like, it's fine. He's like, this is my play money, to your point. He's like, I'm going to try. And I'm just wondering how helpful I'm supposed to be. And I'm happy to be helpful, but like to the point where if I'm on the phone every day, I've got to be like, Dad, you need to take a little ownership over this dude, or give me a percentage.
Okay. Are you asking me?
Sure. Yeah.
I think that the most helpful thing that you could do to your dad is to establish a very honest assessment of your true knowledge of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that would mean...
You may be underestimating my true knowledge, by the way.
And maybe I am.
Yeah.
But based on what you just said, with all due respect...
Downplaying it a little bit. But let's say I've spent hours and hours researching it.
Fine.
But what good is that? This is still the Wild West. You know what I mean? I could know as much as I want. It doesn't change the risk.
Those are the types of things you need to say to your dad.
I have been.
So that he at the very least does not view you necessarily as an investment expert.
Yeah.
But is more like, maybe you just...
I'm very strongly making those points.
Let me put it this way. If my dad came to me and was like, hey, I know you've put some money into cryptocurrency, maybe you're younger, you probably have a better sense of like NFTs and all that. I'm looking to spend some money. Can you tell me where to put it? I would say, Dad, I'm happy to do this with you. I just need you to know that I really don't know what's going to happen with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do my best to guide you, but there's a really good chance this goes to zero.
Okay. So that's not what I'm asking. That conversation
Because then you can do it in good conscience.
What
though.
part? Yeah, I know. What part of that conversation I've needed to have? I've very much had.
Okay,
I don't want to lose his money for him.
Okay,
and I've told him, I was like, these are very high risk investments. You could lose a lot of money.
Perfect.
You could be way, 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 way down, and then in a month later, you'll be way, 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 way up. I don't know if you have the stomach for that. If you do, I'll help you.
Excellent. Then you've done everything you need to do.
But that's not the question.
Okay, that was step one.
Okay, step one.
Step two is, I don't know. You could make this a fun father-son thing. Why don't you create a father-son pool of investment where you both put X amount in and you manage it?
So the thing that frustrates me about it is him wanting to do absolutely nothing. It's like, you have to do something, dude. You have to learn about this a little. Like, I'm not your financial advisor. Like, I'm happy to help you. Of course, you're my dad. Here's a tip. Here's what I think you should buy. Here's a good thing. Buy it. This is what I know about. Buy it.
Okay, well then another way you could do it is you could say, Dad, I'll be willing to invest and manage your money for you, but I'm taking 10%.
But is that fucked up?
No.
And also, it's like hard to...
That's your knowledge fee. Right. That's your research fee.
I think he would frown upon that. I think he'd go, 10%. Okay, Julia. Yeah, your father. Okay.
All right. Well, then the other way to look at it would be to do what I suggested, which is to create a father-son pool and just have him, sort of shadow your investments with his money.
Right.
So whatever you're doing, if you're
He's gonna
already
do it too.
investing, just invest exactly the way that you are for yourself.
So this is what'll happen. I'll try to. So we're getting to this point where I'm doing that, where I'm like, this is what I'm buying. You should buy it. Some of the stuff is like a little maybe out of his price range or comfort zone, and a price range in that he's like, I want to invest this much, so he can't afford certain things with that much. I'm not saying he doesn't have any money, whatever. But the things that he can, I'm like, okay, buy these. And he goes, how do I know which one to buy? And I'll send him a website. I'm like, this is the rarity finder. This tells you how common these are. So you can, when you see it for a certain price, if you're like, oh, that's a good price, you can then put that number into the rarity finder and it will tell you where it ranks based on, say there's 5,000 of these. If it's ranked 4,980, maybe you don't want to buy it. But if it's ranked number 2,000, that's a good price for that. And he's like, just tell me what to buy.
Yeah, that is confusing. I get that. I get why that's not something that he wants to know about. And I would probably say the same thing. I mean, my friends work in trading and they know the stock market so much better than me. And I often ask them, can I just give you money to manage?
What do they say?
No. They say no. They're not private wealth managers.
And nor am I.
And
But
their simple answer typically is just buy S&P 500 ETFs, buy SPYs.
which outperformed every single hedge fund besides 3 of them this year, apparently.
Yeah,
Right?
over long periods of time, investing in the broad stock market grows your money.
Yeah.
On average, 7% a year.
Yeah, solid.
Which is, 5 to 7% a year, whatever. So over, I don't know, 10 years or something, you double your money. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's the safer bet. And I think there was a really interesting daily episode. I think it's the NPR podcast or whatever it is. Do you listen to the daily?
Yeah, it's great.
Where they did the one with the guy who made $1 million betting on Dogecoin.
Oh, nice.
I
didn't listen to that one.
I listened to it yesterday, and it was so interesting because for the first 15, 20 minutes of this guy's story, I was rooting for him. I was like, wow, this guy tried to, succeed along the American dream, grew up very poor in a tiny, tiny house that his parents were renting, sharing a bedroom with his sister, yada, yada, moved to California, was busting his ass, working, not having a life, didn't buy anything, just worked, just hoarded money with this dream of buying a home. That's all he wanted to do, was to be able to buy a house. And he eventually saved enough money that he could afford the down payment on this house that he'd found. It was not a lavish house. And when he finally made his offer, the owners came back and said that they wanted only an all cash deal for the house. And he couldn't afford that. And so he said, okay, God does not want me to own a house. And that's when he started playing around with cryptocurrency. And he put $40 into Dogecoin. Overnight, it tripled. And then he put $250,000, all the money that he had.
Oh my God.
All of it. 100% of the money that he had, that he'd worked for years, he put into Dogecoin because he didn't want to miss out. And he watched over the next year and a half or 2 years where whenever Elon Musk would tweet about it and his tweets would go viral, this thing would double, triple, quadruple. And he's written it up and he's written it down. I think now it's worth $2.5 million. And he's
Good for him.
I am.
Has he sold it yet?
No.
Oh.
And he won't. And
He probably should.
you're listening to this, and as the money grows, you're almost yelling at the radio, sell it. Sell it. You have the house now.
Yeah.
You have the house
You have
now.
a nice house.
You don't have anything unless you sell it. This is an irony currency.
So was this episode when it was at 70 cents? Or was it what it is now?
I think it was when it was what it
was
is
recently.
now.
Right. So that would mean that was where he had 10 million or something at some point.
Maybe they were interviewing him when it was at its height.
Got it.
But
Still.
the point is, listening to him talk and talk about how he was like, I'm the underdoge, this is an underdog story. And they were like, all right, well, what do you do if it goes to like
At least sell
0?
half.
And he goes, I'd buy the dip. And he's now so lost in the sauce
Yeah.
of this
The
ride
community.
that there's no positive end.
Yeah.
These are guys who cannot walk away from the table.
And dude, Dogecoin was for its entirety worth well less than a penny
A fraction of a cent.
for most of its existence. So like it can go back to that, and that's very
It
risky,
sure
yeah.
can. And I stopped rooting for him
Yeah.
because I was like, this guy has gotten cocky
Karmic reversion coming.
and he thinks he's owed this. And he starts talking about how like, you listen to financial advisors and Wall Street, they want you to play it safe with your money. They don't want you to be getting rich quick, or, they want you to invest in their stocks and stuff. And I don't want to play it safe. Like, I'm tired of listening to them. They're the reason that the little man has been held back. It's like, dude, nobody gets this rich this quickly based on something this
except
stupid.
him. So sell it.
But he can say he did get rich this quickly if he sells it.
yeah. Yeah.
And he's refusing
It's bad. Yeah.
because he seems to think that Dogecoin is the currency of the future. There's no argument to be made for that.
So dude, this is my thing always with this kind of shit, because it can be stressful. You're putting a bunch of money that you earned into this risky stuff because you're watching everybody else make money. So like, why not me? One thing that always makes me feel better is just once I make money, taking out the original amount of money I invested.
Sure.
It makes me sleep 5 times better.
That's a very fine way to do it. But
Especially in this situation.
as I've learned, though, it's impossible to time these things. You can't time the low of a currency or even, a stock or the stock market. It's impossible. You're never going to get it right. So,
Dude, as Brent says, can't be mad about taking profits off the table.
fair enough. But my point is my investment strategy is to try to put a similar amount in at consistent intervals or whenever I have a little bit of change. Like if I have a paycheck come in and I can, I cover my rent, cover my credit cards, and I have 10% left to play around with, I'll put that 10% into something risky.
Mm-hmm.
And I just try to do that over time. But, I've bought Ethereum at low and I've bought it at high, and I can't be bothered that I bought it at a high point and then it went down.
You'll go
didn't
crazy.
get value.
You can only get lucky in that kind of shit.
If you truly believe in this stuff, then you just need to keep going and hold it for a long, long time. But I don't know, man. It makes me nervous. This whole thing just really makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Because there's just the amount of smart people that are waiting to laugh at us. The amount of, wealthy, smart people who are just holding their tongues to say, I told you so, is scary.
So, I mean, dude, my thought about that too is like none of those smart people have been able to give me like a compelling explanation as to why they're certain it won't work out in some capacity.
They're not certain.
That's what I'm saying. So I understand the volatility, but like if you said, if you have self-control and like our Dogecoin pal over there who made $2 million or whatever, he needs to be selling some of that. He can do whatever he wants, obviously, and who knows what's going to happen. But like, no one has been like, this is not going to work. Here's why. They've just been like, it's a crapshoot. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with someone saying it's a crapshoot. I'm not fine with like some fucking old guy being like, it's crap just because they can't wrap their heads around it. You know what I mean? And that's not even me being like, Wall Street's trying to hold you down. That's obviously not the case. But like, dude, plenty of these people are making a tons of money off of this stuff. The Winklevoss twins, notably,
The Winklevoss twins started sitting on a pile of play money, though. They came into the world of crypto already worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right, but still, like they've chosen to make their business. And listen, dude, I'm in no way like crypto's the future. Like I don't know. I don't know shit. But what I do know is that like I'm open to the idea of it being, but I'm not convinced that it won't be. You know what
Listen, I come at this the same way you do, with hope, and I am participating. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also have a very strong suspicion that this will collapse in flames.
Yeah.
And I hope that my awareness of that will soften the blow if and when it happens.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that I would caution you or your dad to have.
Okay. Well, okay. Regardless of any of that, my dad, he is being eager, and I think, and you can tell me if you agree with this or not. I just need to like draw boundaries, because like he'll be calling me and like I feel bad not answering, and then I answer and I'll be like Sunday night and I'm in bed. This happened last night, and he called me today before we started recording. Chris was in the room and he's like, "Can you show me how to do it?" I'm like, "Dad, it's the middle of the day on Monday, dude. Like I'm busy." And then I feel bad hanging up on him.
Yeah.
Like I'm not giving him time. I'm like, "I'll call you later." And then I'll text him what to do. He doesn't respond. I'm just like, "Dude, you got to work with me a little here." So like, I'm going to help him. I'm going to help him do it. We're going to figure it out. Probably do it later today. But like, I need to make sure that it's not like eating into my time where I'm trying to build my life.
Yeah. Why don't you guys set a Google Calendar time? Treat it like a true professional relationship. Listen, man, I'm with you. My parents, I don't know how this happens, but just, I feel like families go from parents being annoyed with kids to kids being annoyed with parents. And, I love my parents so much, but as they've gotten older, some of the habits take on this somewhat, like, man, you can't help but think when you're on the phone, like, we could have accomplished that phone conversation in a third of the time.
Yeah.
If we had just kept our shit together.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just, you've got to grow your patience as your parents grow older.
Yeah. And honestly, Hillary says that I do, and I feel that I do. I feel like I have a lot of patience for my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a lot of respect. I give them a lot of my time. I love talking to them. I talk to them all the time. But when it comes to this is wonderful. My dad's eager. He wants to be involved.
He's like, cool.
He's like, this is like good for you, dude.
He sees it as a thing to bond with and stay connected with you over.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not.
You and your dad in crypto is my dad and me with golf.
I'm not even to be honest, I hope you're right. I really think he just like wants to try to make some more money, and like, but I take it as a compliment that he thinks that I'm like savvy enough to take advice from, or like whatever. You know what I mean? It's all nice, but the approach I think can be improved on his part, perhaps.
We've really taken to this e-foil thing. Have I told you about this?
No, what's that?
My dad got an e-foil flight board.
I don't know what any of this is.
Okay, so it's a surfboard basically that has a motor under it. Oh. And it's got this sort of wing fin under it that has a fin like that, and then it picture like an upside down T.
What do you mean a picture of an upside down T?
Like picture a T upside down.
It's the bottom
attached
of the
to
wing.
the bottom of the surfboard.
Got it.
And it on that has the little propeller. You got a handheld remote. And if you get really good at this thing, you can rise it up out of the water.
Whoa.
And ride it, 2 or 3 feet above the water just on the fin.
Where's the motor?
Below the fin.
Got it.
And you feel like you're flying across the water because there will be ripples and waves and the fin just scythes through them.
Okay, I saw you doing this.
Yeah.
Are you getting good at it?
I am, but my dad has gotten really good at it.
That's sick.
And he can ride it out of the water for as long as he wants.
Knowing
Whereas
your
I
dad,
kind of like come in and out of the water.
Knowing him now and seeing like how he is, I really like the idea of this.
This is something my dad bought or was really excited about. He bought it because he'd ridden it at a friend's house. My dad has always kind of been proud of being on the front edge of like tech toys.
Any other ones that you can think of?
Dude, I remember my dad came home with a DVD player when nobody knew what DVD players were.
That's sick.
And he was like, this is the future of movie watching. And he like set it up and put it on the TV, and we were like, holy shit, that's so much better than the VHS cassettes we've been watching. He was like, you don't even have to rewind it.
That's sick.
And he was like, check this out. And he showed us how to skip chapters of the movie.
Remember how sick that was?
It was amazing.
Look at these special features.
With
too.
DVDs, all of a sudden you were like, we're going to watch this DVD for the 58th time. But let's start Gladiator at the first fight instead of, in the beginning. I don't want to watch his family get burned. Independence Day, we'd always skip the scene where like the alien who's being operated on comes to life and strangles the doctor and stuff. Because it was scary. Anyway.
It was scary.
So he was in, he started a software company himself. So I think he was always reading like tech magazines and hearing about new things, and
Cool.
he'd come home with like wireless headphones or something like that, or
Cool.
before, early on. I remember his first car phone.
Wow.
We were like, wait a minute, a phone for the car? I think it might have even been attached to the car.
That's sick,
with a
dude.
wire. Anyway.
That good for him. You should be taking investment advice from him, it sounds like. He knows whatever the new thing's going to be.
Yeah. Well, he was really early on Teslas.
Sick.
He was like, this is the future. But he waited until they made the 3 because it was the more affordable one. But anyway, the e-foil, he became excited and really obsessed with this. And we were like, come on, Dad. What's so fun about this? And he got it, and we went out on it in Florida, and it's now become like the reason we go down to Florida. This thing is so fun. It's a portion of the day. We're waking up earlier because the sea is calm in the morning. He's like, we're gonna foil from 9 a.m. till 11.
Let's foil,
and then
bro.
we'll go play tennis, and then we'll do this. And it's just amazing. And you learn to sort of carve out of the water. But we were doing it for a while the first time, and I took some nasty falls.
Really?
And I was like, Dad, you got to get
It
a
hurts?
helmet and a life jacket.
Like, how fast are you going?
Well, there's a bunch of gears,
Okay.
and I like to kick it up into the 7th gear because it's easier for me to get out of the water at higher speeds.
Right.
I think he rides it in the 4th gear. But it's wherever you're comfortable. I mean, you're going 20, 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
It's crazy.
Maybe 20. Yeah, fast. But you get the hang of it. And so he bought a helmet and a life jacket, and now we whip around. And it's so wild, dude, because I think a big part of the joy for him is that when he brings it back onto the beach after riding it, every single person on the beach comes up and is like, what is that thing? And he starts telling the story. I mean, it is every time. I do a ride, I come off, there's 3 people waiting to ask me what the deal
That's
is.
fucking cool.
So you'll start seeing these things everywhere. There's that viral pic of Mark Zuckerberg doing it with his face covered in zinc that I recreated for my Instagram.
I didn't realize that's what you...
That's what I was doing
That's
the e-foil
funny.
too, yeah.
Dude, I remember seeing you on that thing being like, what the fuck?
It's fun, man.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's really cool.
It's funny, man. For a guy like you, come off as sort of like you're not cautious. Your thrill seeking side is like a bit of a curveball.
I can't do it, man. My whole life I did.
You did what?
I saw it thrill.
But it seems like you still have it. Like you'll jump off a cliff into water. Like you'll
Not as much anymore. I used to just do anything.
roller coasters.
I loved roller coasters. I didn't do them very often.
Mm-hmm. Would you
But
now?
I was dangerous. I did dangerous shit without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Flipping off stuff and
Yeah, you're an amazing flipper.
ugh. I
sound like you're I'm like, he's an amazing flipper.
Yeah, but
See the
you
guy
hit your
flip.
head one time and you're like, all right. You know about the time I hit my head off the dock.
I do.
Yeah, I should be paralyzed.
Live to tell the tale, dude.
Yeah.
Stories like that make me not want to have kids. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Every single person has a story like that, and it's like,
That's right.
fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Another episode of Oops the P. OTP, baby.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, everybody. I guess we didn't discuss what's the appropriate amount of time to be still saying that. It's too late. Don't say it too long. Don't be annoying.
No, don't be that person.
Good luck with all your stuff. Hit us up. Let us know what's going on at Oops the Podcast. We'll have some more fun announcements and cool stuff coming up. I'm at Now Julio. He's at Francis CC Ellis. Let us know what's going on. We appreciate you all, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.